Welcome to the Dave Palmer Show.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palmer Show. And with me in this episode, I have someone who is an award-winning and celebrated author, speaker, and educator, Marni Hill Foderaro. Welcome to the Dave Palmer Show.
Oh, hi, Dave. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure to have you here. And I always love it when people have a story of adversity to say, because that's kind of what I like to specialize in myself. I wrote a book as well, which is kind of like getting over through tough times. And obviously with my job, firefighting from within. So, it's an interesting title you have for your first book, God Came to My Garage Sale. Sounds like a podcast title, actually, but a clean one, if you like. But yeah.
Well, yeah, the first book came about when I actually made a big life change. I was a special education teacher, high school teacher in the Chicago, USA suburbs for 35 years. 12 of those years, I was a university graduate school adjunct professor.
Yeah.
And, I was just sort of living the American dream, raising my two children, living in a beautiful home, busy with a rewarding career, and just going along life, just thinking everything was fine. However, there were a number of red flags throughout my 27-year marriage that I just refused to acknowledge, and I just kept plugging away. And at one point, enough was enough, and I chose to leave that marriage, and really realized that I was actually, in some ways, in a fight for my life. I was really more abused than I ever acknowledged, just emotionally, financially, with the gaslighting and the smearing and the money manipulation and all of that I just kind of, ignored. And so, I'm still someone that no matter what my adversity is, and I've kind of been this way since I was younger, I just rise above, and I just take everything as a life lesson, and I just try to find the golden nuggets from my situation, and keep moving forward. And so I had to have a garage sale. Lost my home, lost my money. I actually even lost my two adult children to parental alienation, which is just unbelievable. But in the midst of this, negative, awful, horrific situation, I was surrounded with love and gratitude, and just very thankful for the blessings that I had been given. And so I had this garage sale where miracles came, and I just was given the feeling I was loved and supported, and that even though I made a challenging decision, I made the right decision. And even though I'm going to suffer a lot of losses, the gains will be immeasurable. So that's the first book I wrote.
Right. Wow. Well, as I say, it's quite a powerful title there. I'm quite interested to hear more about the narcissistic behavior that was projected towards you, and also obviously parental alienation, which is a term I'm not really hear about too much, but I know it obviously, it's quite, the name itself spells out what it is, so I'd like to hear more about what that is. So perhaps you could tell me your story more from your humble beginnings, what happened, if you don't mind.
No, of course.
Where were you from in the States, and how did it kind of all?
Well, I was
evolve?
born in the South, but in Miami, Florida. But early on, moved to the suburbs, the North Shore, actually, of Chicago, Illinois, which is kind of in the Midwest, in the central part of the United States. And I was raised by parents that really were just kind of very hands-off parents. We were given a lot of very cool experiences with nature and travel, but we were kind of left on our own to kind of just fend for ourselves. And in some ways that was very good. That kind of gave me the grit that I needed to survive later on in life. So I really take from that the positives as opposed to focusing on the negatives.
Hmm.
My parents did divorce, and it was very high conflict. And, it wasn't until much later on in my 60s that I actually go back when I do the work to try to figure out why bad things happen to good people. And like, how could I have gone along in an abusive situation for almost 3 decades? What made me an overgiver, a people pleaser, or someone that did not have strong boundaries? And so I had to do that inner work, and that was very painful. It was almost like, okay, I was traumatized, and then I'm re-traumatized and re-traumatized again. But I think that's all part of the healing journey. So
Mm.
that is my foundation. I didn't have any foundation in religion or spirituality, just,
Hmm.
in humanity, and trying to find the good in people. I came into my marriage, after experiencing a major rejection from another relationship. So I was extremely, um, you know, primed to be a victim of narcissistic abuse, because I was in a place of kind of shock and devastation. But I was going along, and but abusers kind of target you. They really seek out empathetic,
Mm.
loving people that have been wounded in their lives,
Right.
that
Okay.
might that might overlook things and allow. It's almost like they test you with, affairs or unethical behavior, or the gaslighting. They kind of test you to see how much you will take. And obviously I'm someone who could take a lot for a long period of time. So that is, I think, the foundation that kind of brought me to the place of um you know finding myself in a very unhealthy, toxic marriage.
Yeah. Well, I know sometimes, yeah, I mean, with narcissists, there's not much, you can, I don't know if there's much you can do about them really, but that's just a behavior they've got, really. And it's, part of their nature is that they seem nice at one time and then all of a sudden they turn on you, don't they, really? So it's a really difficult situation you must have been in, really.
And they're very wounded people themselves. Obviously, they went through whatever trauma, abandonment, whatever core issues they have. They came out of it believing that power and control and manipulation, uh, you know, rising. They believe they're above the law. They believe they're above, other people. And I think that could be their coping mechanism, to not that we want to make excuses for them, but it certainly helps to understand, where they are coming from, and to realize that, you know um, as a victim and now a survivor, that it really isn't my fault. I didn't bring this on because of my childhood, my own, foundation. I just, it's part of life. And it's unfortunate because, especially in my case, we had talked about parental alienation. I've lost 2 adult children to this, and we're going on close to a decade of not having my loving, wonderful children in my life. And for those in your audience that don't know what parental alienation is, it's a family dynamic that happens to men, wonderful fathers, and women, wonderful mothers. It is not really gender specific. The research on this
Mm.
shows that really it is just one malevolent partner that wants to destroy the other. When you finally, your light bulb goes on and you realize, I don't want to be with this person. My values of honesty and goodness, fidelity, fiscal responsibility, just being a good human,
Mm.
my values don't align with the person that I'm made a vow with many years prior.
Mm.
And so what they try to do is get the children to align with them, and it happens a lot with really young kids,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the abusing wife or the abusing husband will even abuse the court systems and make up lies and false accusations just to destroy that other parent, destroy their credibility. And what they're really doing is projecting their evil onto other people. And unfortunately, because they're so skilled, they spend a lot of time, calculating their approach to things. They're believed by people, by lawyers and judges, and they're also believed by family, friends, and neighbors. And
Yeah.
so they, with the gaslighting and the smearing and the isolation, they kind of set the stage way early on to discredit you, even though you think, people should know by your actions and how you've conducted yourself for decades that you are a loving, honorable, upstanding person. But the minute you turn your back on someone with a narcissistic personality disorder, undiagnosed, of course, and we're not here to diagnose them.
No.
But they certainly have all those traits.
Yeah.
They will turn the children against you, and they will get them with outright lies or believable half-truths. To get the children at any age, in my case, my kids were 20 and 23. They should know better.
Yeah.
But they can get them to fear the other parent, to believe a false narrative that other parent never loved them or never cared for them or wanted them dead, or whatever the story is. It's just outlandish, but it is believed. And at some point, these adult children, they're just exhausted from all this abuse. They don't know that they're being abused, and they know the loving dad or mom, that their love is unconditional. They know that. They really gravitate toward the alienator because that person's love is not unconditional.
Yeah.
And they're bought off, or they're threatened, or they're trauma bonded with them and their entire family. So that's the dynamic. There's a lot of research on it. There's a lot of research on Stockholm syndrome and independent thinker phenomenon, which helps understand these cult-like responses.
Right.
But lives are changed forever, and families are destroyed by this one person who just can't accept that someone figured them out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sadly, listening to all this, I know a friend that's going through all this at the moment, and he's a male, actually, and what you've described is all that, really. And I mean, I'm not there I don't want to bring it all up, but on the show, but I can see all what you're talking about is what he's going through. So it isn't gender specific.
No, not at all. There are women and wives that are just out to destroy. They want to punish, and unfortunately, some of these people go so far as to murder their ex-spouse, or they don't get their own hands dirty. They'll arrange for their demise because they just want them destroyed. But I just believe in goodness. I believe that the truth does come out. And, I ended up, as part of my healing process and finding writing to be healing, I wrote a 5-book series called True Deceit, False Love. Because the loving, good people, the honest humans, we want true love, and we believe in true love. I still believe in true love, but so many times the love is false, but the deceit is what's really going on.
But what to do? What to do to find out about this deceit at the beginning, so you can run away before it even gets too late?
Right. I actually moved from a lifetime in the Chicago suburbs to the Caribbean, where I live.
Oh wow. Okay, whereabouts in the Caribbean?
I'm in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Yeah, Virgin Islands. Well, that's quite nice. Yeah, because my parents, my mom's side of my parents from the Caribbean, but nowhere near there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
More closer East Caribbean. So Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's actually
beautiful area. And, it doesn't matter how far you go away, especially in this day and age in technology. I mean, my abuser is still taking me to court, and I filed for divorce back in 2013. So they're obsessive. they stalk you, they harass you, they I don't know when they'll ever let you go, even if they've moved on, and supposedly, have a different life, you're always on their radar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also experience, I know there's other family members that can be narcissistic as well. It's not just only
Sure.
through parental, it could be a sibling
Right.
or a
Yes.
parent. A parent that could be like that, something like that. So, I mean,
Definitely.
I suppose that all comes under the same kind of research that you're going through, I suppose, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
You actually have to let go of some family members that, you of course have stayed with them because, all these years because they're your family. And
Mhm.
people think, well, they're your family. You've got to, um, you know, let some things slide, or you've got to, just put up with being treated so poorly. But, at some point, you need to even let some family members go, and with love. You just back off and you don't engage, because, you need to live a life of peace and happiness. And, once you realize you've been a target of abuse, then you start realizing that, it's not just limited to that one main abuser, that there are other people that have kind of chimed in, whether it is to align with the abuser, or whether it's just on their own. They know your personality type, and they just they're challenging and they're aggressive, and they're your thoughts are wrong, and your
Mm.
ideas, they don't support you.
Yeah,
You
no,
can
yeah.
have major achievements in your life, and they will not ever acknowledge it.
Mm.
They won't
Yes.
ever just say, wow, you did a good job,
Yeah,
congratulations
yeah.
on that. The love and support is really not there, and you have to really pay attention to, because you've been giving that love and support on even more minor things.
Yeah.
But if it's not reciprocated, and if there's just a real, negative feeling with it all, you've got to let them go sometimes. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard, but you've got to let them go.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they can flip the scripts though, can't they? Really, like you're saying, to turn it around to make you look like the one that's not loving
Oh,
and
yeah.
doing that. That's the thing, really. So,
Projection. That's what
projection, yeah.
projection is. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're projecting something that's happened to them onto other,
Yeah.
someone else. That's what it is. Yeah.
And we also, as loving people, project. So
Yeah, I
we
know.
think
Yeah.
are honest and loving and good people, but we will project our goodness onto others and give
Mm.
them the benefit of the doubt that they do not deserve, because we are projecting. We like to think, oh, people we surround ourselves with are good and loving, and when really that's not always the case, and it's a harsh reality to accept.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to your 5 books. By the way, my book, Five Fighting from Within, How to Master the Tools of Life Even During Tough Times, is a Balboa book, which is under the umbrella of, it's the independent author division of Hay House. So that's, I guess all your books are published through them, are they? Or is it just
Yes,
the one?
no, they
Yeah.
all are
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Balboa Press. In fact, I have your book.
Oh, you
So
do?
I
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, yeah, with the firefighter on the
Yeah,
cover.
yeah, that's me, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yes, that is you. Yes.
You're right. Well,
Um,
thanks.
Even though I think of you more as a track star
All right. Thank you.
than I do as a firefighter, but that's all part of your journey. You
Yeah,
are
it's
a
part of my journey.
multifaceted, and
Well,
now you're,
I actually took up track as or sports as a way out when I was 13,
yeah,
14, going through what is similar to what you did, but a lot more going
sure,
on. And people either turn to something, either creativity or sports or something, and then
right,
it
right,
works. It worked for me, and obviously
yeah.
I admired what firefighters did, and it was a dream job I wanted to do, or be a track star, and I kind of combined the
Yeah.
both, and it
And you
kind of
did them
worked.
both.
Did them
And yeah,
both.
you are published with Balboa, and I am also published with Balboa, a division of Hay House. I
Yes.
really have always been drawn to those types of books because they are about spirituality and a bigger picture, but they're also about self-healing and
Hmm.
self-growth. And
Yeah.
that is, I really resonate with that kind of reading. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my
Excellent.
5 book series is from them.
Mm. Sorry about the background. My daughter's 7 years old. She likes to pop in on my podcast
I
shows every
know.
now and then. So yeah, so
I
let's
can hardly see her back there, but she looks beautiful.
yeah,
Hey,
thanks.
cutie pie.
She can't hear because of the headphones, but
Oh,
anyway.
okay, okay. Well, I'll wave to her.
She's
Hi.
waving, Angel. Okay, well, let's. The guest probably doesn't know what's going on when it's on
That's all right.
audio, because most of my listeners are
Right,
audio,
right.
but
Of
they'll see it on
course.
YouTube, obviously. So anyway, yeah, let's quickly go through the 5 books. So God came to my garage sale, as I said, or jokingly as well, but obviously it's a good title.
Thank
How did you come across that then, and what's it about briefly, and then tell us about the 5 upcoming books as well.
Well, God came to my garage sale, like I had said, was when I had to have a garage sale and some miracles happened. And
Mm.
there were so many miracles that made me really believe that I was loved and supported. And they actually prompted me on a journey to research near-death experiences and spiritually transformative encounters, especially without a background and foundation in religion or spirituality. I needed proof of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that I did get that proof, that scientific evidence I needed to realize that what I had gone through really happened. And it was life changing. And so that
Yeah.
is that first book. But then when I had moved to the Caribbean, I really, just moved to a really happy life, retired from teaching. Even though
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of losses, I had so many wonderful gains and opportunities. And the writing just sort of evolved. I was actually doing a lot of research to understand domestic violence, understand parental alienation and narcissism. And so I would listen to podcasts, read literature,
Mm-hmm.
check out other people's blogs just to kind of see how other people were coping with this. And I would write down terms that I would have to look up later, like word salad or gaslighting, smearing, golden child, scapegoat child, all these kinds of
Yeah.
things. Um, I had 100 terms I had to look up, and then it
Mm.
wasn't long
So,
after I had 1,000 terms. And then when it got to over 10,000 terms to really look up and understand and connect the dots, I said, listen, if it's helping me to do this, I am going to put this in a book. So my first book in the series, True Deceit, False Love,
mm-hmm.
um, is 15,555 terms and phrases on all of this. And it's
Mm.
highly endorsed by influencers and very well-known people and researchers in this field of abuse recovery. So I could rattle off all the names of the 10, 12 people that endorsed my book series.
Yeah.
But you can find that on my website, which is the name of my spiritual fiction, God Came to My Garage Sale.com. But
Yes.
then after doing that book and that it was so well received, I ended up, as part of my healing, doing acrostic poetry, where you write a word vertically. You could write, covert malignant narcissist, you could write that, or parent alienation. And then you use those letters in that vertical word to create sentences. And that was very healing. So I actually did 13 poems for each letter of the alphabet. So I have a very large volume of acrostic poems, which led to a survivor's workbook. So if there's someone in your audience that feels that writing is healing and they might have issues with family dynamics and trauma, they might want to pick up the acrostic poetry book, as well as the survivors workbook, where they can kind of create their own acrostic poems to aid in their healing. I provide an example, a couple of suggested poems, and then there's space for them to create their own, which led to free verse poetry. And then my last book in the series right now, because I have one more book on the horizon that I'm working on
Oh,
in
okay.
the True Deceit, False Love series. But
Yeah.
that fifth book is a word search puzzle book to kind of use a different part of your brain, a approach to handling this trauma, because it's heavy, it's painful, and sometimes we need to lighten it up and distract ourselves. So it still aids in the healing with the terminology, but it's, where you can do a word search puzzle. So that is what that book series is all about.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's quite powerful stuff you're doing, and yeah, that's amazing for when you teach. You was a teacher for 35 years, which is very, very. I mean, it's like me. I was a firefighter for 25 years. Everyone else.
Yeah,
I just think it's all in a day's job, and then I don't know about yourself, but obviously, for me, I'm in awe with what you've done. I'm sure people are in awe. Whereas I just feel humble about it, really. But
oh, you're so kind. And actually, the feeling, I'll tell you, Dave, the feeling is mutual, because, we might have these titles and these experiences, but,
yeah,
when you connect with people on a soul level and you know that they are full of goodness,
yeah.
and, you're taking time out of your busy life to bring awareness to other people, to highlight some of these other people
Hmm.
that still bring a message of hope and handling adversity, because we all have adversity. We
Yes, yeah,
all have challenges in our lives, and it can look different for everyone. But how
yes,
we choose to respond to these
yes.
challenges make or break who we are and what our life will look like.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's how you deal with it, really. While you're under any kind of adversity, really. And just to let you know, I've been around other firefighters that we go through the as people in adversity doing stuff. However, we're human, and have had adversities ourselves, and we'll have the same emotions as anyone else going through these adversities, and some
Oh, of
going through what
course.
you're going through. As I said, I've seen that happen. Where someone's gone through what you've gone through, and
Right.
I've learned more from talking to you today about parent
Oh, good.
alienation, actually. So that's why
Yeah.
I wanted to know more and bring it awareness to the audience, as you mentioned. So that's quite interesting.
Right. And actually, on my website, I do highlight other professionals that, have dealt with these kinds of things, whether it's
Hmm.
their books, podcasts, TED Talks,
Yeah.
research. And so, for your friend that is going through this challenging time,
Hmm.
um, this wonderful dad that is, seeing his relationship with his child or children slip away, which is just devastating, to understand it,
Hmm.
you can help make some changes, and hopefully, you know, the truth will come out, and the
Mm.
positive relationships will be restored. However,
Yeah,
it may
yeah,
not be in this lifetime, unfortunately, but have them check out my website, because I offer, a lot of expert advice from
yeah, yeah,
people in the field that really, know this stuff, not just from an
yeah, yeah.
emotional
No, no.
standpoint, from a
From
research
the
standpoint.
research, yeah, the psychologists and all kind
Yeah,
of like real deep tested stuff, yeah.
right, right.
Um, So yeah, I mean, this is all quite serious stuff that's going on, and when it hits the courts, and they're still behaving like that. That is really, I mean,
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
like, oh, you're not even scared of that system. That's, whew,
right.
you know. So
Yeah.
this is quite interesting. So tell us more about when your books are coming out. So you've got one you're working on right now. Let's just hear about that a little bit more. And I don't give away too much, obviously, because we want to.
No, no. Well, the 5 books in the True Deceit, False Love series, and of course the award-winning spiritual fiction, which was endorsed by James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine
Okay.
Prophecy
Yeah,
series,
yeah,
which was
yeah, yeah,
very cool. Those are all out. They've been on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and then of
yeah.
course we mentioned our mutual publisher with Balboa Press, Hay House.
Balboa Press. Yeah.
Uh, but actually, my books are becoming, at least the God Came to My Garage Sale book is part of international book clubs, and it's actually in the running to be part of a movie.
Oh
Or
wow.
they have a movie with this title,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Was that through
nothing.
Balboa as well? Was it? Because I know they
No,
do. Oh
no,
no. Okay.
no,
All
it's
right.
just various people that have heard of my book.
Yeah.
I've had some producers and directors contact me, and I'm just in discussion. So it's in the early stages right now, but
Okay.
there's a good chance, I think God Came to My Garage Sale would make a great movie title.
Yeah, it certainly is a
And
good tell. Yeah.
And actually, I have a lot of different ideas when it comes to what the movie could play out to be, where it does involve, the unfortunate death of the loving targeted person. And my book could be more of like a life review part of it, but then they're revived by medical science and go on to live a life just filled with love, and maybe even go around the world, to the Philippines where you're at, or
Yeah.
England where you're from, or the
Yeah, yeah.
Caribbean, or
But I'll probably
all
be in
over.
London. I'll probably be back in London by then anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
yeah.
But anyway, so really, I've been very, very busy, because I've been asked to be on so many different podcasts to just share my message, share
Yeah.
my story, bring awareness to my book. So I'm honoring a lot of the commitments I've made with podcasters. But I would say in 2023, I'm going to kind of really focus on some pretty big projects, possibly the movie, finishing up the 6th book in the True Deceit False Love series, which would
Yeah.
probably be the final book. And I have a lot of other projects that are in the pipeline. And so I'm just I might scale it back and not do as many book signings or speaking events. I've been asked again in the near future this year to speak at Columbia University in New York
Yeah.
City. I
Oh, yeah.
had originally had that arranged, but with the travel restrictions and everything, that got postponed. So I've been contacted again to go back on the live stage. And, I have a choice of what I would want to talk about. And I think at this point, what I'm leaning towards is just talking about paying attention to signs and synchronicities and miracles in our lives, especially since so many people have gone through such adversity and confusion,
Kind of
and
like
just,
mindfulness
yeah,
kind of thing.
mindfulness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We're talking about book signing. I've got a book signing next week at the Manila Book Fair. So
Oh,
I've got
wonderful.
an hour of just signing a couple of my books out there. So
Yeah.
that'll be nice.
Congratulations.
And
It's
then
wonderful.
back in London again after that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
I
great.
actually just left the Caribbean recently, and went on an almost month-long trip to the Pacific Northwest. So I started out in Sandy Springs, Georgia, with book signings, and Portland, Oregon, and book signings. But I even did kind of a river cruise of the Lewis and Clark,
Wow,
trail, and did a book signing on that, and
that's
ended up going
fantastic.
to national
Is
parks,
it?
to
Is it?
Yellowstone Glacier,
Wow.
Grand Teton. So I've done a lot of book signings recently, but it's nice to
Okay.
be back home in the Caribbean.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're in the Caribbean right now. Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
We're both in hot islands,
Yes, yeah.
on the same latitude. So that's pretty good.
But, I'm going to spend my afternoon snorkeling. So,
Oh,
it's
that's all right.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll probably try and do that somewhere tomorrow, maybe. So
Yeah.
it's
Got to
pretty,
get in
pretty.
the ocean.
Got to, yeah,
We have it in our backyard.
It's a
So
rainy
really,
season though. This is the only thing. It's a rainy season, so just try and do it
yeah.
before the thunderstorm comes.
We had big thunderstorms yesterday, but we
All
still
right.
do a lot in our gardens. But anyway.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's not digress. So, where can people find out about your books? And obviously, you mentioned your website. Let's just get them pointing towards that again. And obviously, can sign up to find out about your new book coming out as well.
Sure. I'm not on social media. Just wanted to put my efforts into writing, but my website is the place to find me and to look under the happenings section as to what's going on. So www.godcametomygarage.com.
Great. Fantastic. Marni, it's really been a great pleasure speaking to you. And as I said, I've learned something from it. And I really do appreciate you coming on the show with me today. And I'll probably, if we keep in touch, you let me know about the other book and we'll have another chat to an update, if you like, for our fans.
Well, thank you, Dave. And it's an honor to be able to be on your podcast, because I'm such a fan of what you do and what you have done.
You.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thanks very much, Marni.
Have a wonderful day.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now. But I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.